David Bentley, how are you?
I'm good, mate.
Before we start, mate, we're in a random showroom in Stansted. Tell us what we're doing.
It's a very delightful showroom.
It's very nice.
It is, isn't it? You enjoyed it?
I have to say, mate, it is top notch.
It is, isn't it?
It's your new company, right?
It is. I've gone into business with one of my best friends. He's coming out of Guernsey. He lives on the little island, sort of gathering sheep and that. He's here now. He's in the room. He's in the room. Look at him. He'll beat me up after.
I wouldn't mess with him, by the way.
I've gone into business because I'm scared of him.
So you got this. So it's like a tiling, flooring company in the Hertfordshire region.
Yeah, we're in Cambridge Road, Stansted.
What's the phone number?
01920.
Don't give out on here. All sorts of calls.
But no, it's a family business. Got Dan that's sitting across from me, looking like he's working.
Yeah, I mean,
so if you want to come see Llewellyn Bowen look alike, you got to come into the showroom. Greg's actually been in business for about 20 years over in Guernsey. A really successful business, and we brought it to the UK market. So it's
how many businesses have you got now? You got your clubs, your bars,
the club, bar, restaurants, an accountancy company. Football agency, Impact Sport Management, which I've got with Rob Siegel, my long-standing friend, business partner, and obviously my agent. I've been with him about 18 years. We've got that. Commercial cleaning company, which we operate out of London. Wow. So if you need any cleaning done, we'll do that. Eh?
Well, the great thing about this, so if I need representation, me windows doing, me flooring done, and I want to go for a drink, will David Bentley himself come round?
Yeah, I'll bring the beers as well.
And mend me window.
Yeah, I'll
paint
do
the
everything.
ceiling.
Yeah, and look after your
look
finances.
after my finances, and then take me out to Marbella. You do all
exactly,
that,
yeah. It's a full day. It's a great Saturday, isn't it? It is. I'll look after you and then get you hammered at the end of the day.
Oh man, okay. Pete, we've got to talk about David's career. We do this with all our guests. Can you name every club you played for?
Arsenal.
Yeah.
Norwich, Blackburn, Tottenham, West Ham, Rostov. Yeah.
Missed one out, mate.
Have I?
Yeah, which is why we love doing it. Missed one out.
Birmingham.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Would you like to say anything to the Birmingham fans that are listening?
No. sorry about that.
Okay, let's take it back to where it started. Who did you support as a kid?
Well, I was an RAF sort of brat. All my family are from Rochdale. First ever shirt was Rochdale shirt.
Oh, right.
They're all season tickets holders. They're all my family are from Rochdale. It's just me and my sister who was brought up in sort of North London, but we lived in Belgium. My dad was in the RAF then. I was born in Peterborough because my dad was based there. So we travelled around a bit. So I never really had a team, but the team I was more of a player. So I loved Cantona, I loved Gaza. Tottenham was the first team I ever watched. Tottenham versus Wimbledon. So I never had an attachment through the family apart from that. They're all Rochdale fans. But I weren't gonna carry on that tradition, was I?
I've read you're a Rochdale fan. I've read you're a Man United fan. I've read you're a Spurs fan.
Yeah,
so.
It's more with the players. Yeah, that was always the confusion. It's like who do you support? But I never had a. It was never within the family. That's my missus ringing. Look.
Do you want to get it? If your missus is ringing, David's just getting a call from his missus.
You all right, darling? You all right? I'm just doing soccer M at the minute. I will do. All right. See ya. Bye.
She reminding you that you played for Birmingham.
Seeing where I was.
She's getting. You haven't mentioned Birmingham.
She phones me every 20 minutes just to see where I am. No, she don't.
You know we're still recording on this. Hope she doesn't listen to this.
No, it's not. We've booked an holiday or something. I don't know. She just wants me to see whether it's paid for. I don't know.
Fair enough.
Look, there you go. There's the ins and outs of the day, isn't it?
We've only been here for about 10 minutes. You've taken emails, you've made cups of teas. You're a busy man.
Yeah, busy man.
Busy
I do like to be like.
Footballers.
Yeah. Well.
Why do you keep so busy?
Because I keep out of trouble. Yeah, that's it. I like it. I like the process of business. I like connecting with people. I like the relationships. It's more from that point of view. It's the lifestyle that you can have off the back of it with the relationships built. Dan's it. This business. Dan's my brother-in-law. You've been my brother. Been with my sister about 18 years, haven't you? Is it 18 years? How long is it? 40.
Yeah, so I know Dan.
It feels like 18.
David Bentley's brother-in-law Dan, who is sat with us. His brother Adam is one of my best mates from uni, which is how I know all of you guys.
There you go.
Well,
look,
it all connects well.
We are, haven't we? Look at us.
He's got a speaking part of the podcast now, doesn't he?
Yeah, isn't he? Come on, Dan, get involved.
Yeah. Right, it's where it started. Arsenal. What was it like? You came through that Arsenal team. That was a a monster Arsenal team, wasn't it?
Mental.
Who'd you have there? Vieira, Bergkamp, Adams, Henry.
Yeah, it was proper
What was
men.
that like as a kid
men.
coming through
yeah,
there? Because that must have been quite great for footballing reasons, but
Yeah.
also quite daunting because there was a big sort of social presence with that Arsenal team, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was. It was a strong environment. You know, like as a kid coming through, you had to be. Every day in training it was like a war. It was because.
In what way?
Well, the boss used to put in teams. He used to keep the same teams, like 5 sides, and they used to be just smashing out black guys, fights. Pascal Sagan and Kolo Touré going at it.
Against each other?
Oh, never seen a fight like it. 2 animals. Yeah. And we all trying to get them off. I had shirts ripped off me. Martin Keown sent, he grabbed me by the neck and just threw me and ripped my shirt off, and they just like, get on with it. I said, I've got to change the shirt. He went, no, carry on. I said, yeah. So I nipped in and scored a goal, and I think I went past him and says, you're getting on a bit now, you can't get near
You said
me.
that to Martin Keown?
Yeah, just a bit of banter. But I sat in Vieira's seat once, I sat on the French table, and I sat in his seat once, and I remember him tapping me on the shoulder and said, move. And it was that moment, shall I move? Shall I be strong?
Yeah.
Or should I just... And I stayed. The worst thing ever. He kicked me every day for about a year.
How old were you at this point?
17, 18.
Wow.
Yeah.
So were you cleaning boots and things like that as well?
Yeah, making the coffees. I want to have a pre-season training. You go away for 3 weeks, and I'd have to stand at the back of the bus, making the coffees. I didn't have a seat.
So they treated you a little bit as a
you had to, but they respect, I still see him now. And good mates.
What was Wenger like as well? I'm
He
intrigued
was-
to know what he's like sort of off the pitch.
I think he's changed through...
Yeah.
I think he's tried to mould something at Arsenal that's different to what he had then. Sometimes you fall upon the players that you have, but that strong environment that he had then, they could adapt to any situation. I think they got one type of player now. It makes him difficult.
So different to that team
Yeah,
then,
it makes it difficult for him to manage. I think he's just been left with the wrong players that haven't...
Do you?
I think so, yeah. It's a difficult one. It's so long, isn't it? 18,
Yeah.
what is it now, 20 years he's been there?
He overtook Fergie, didn't he?
Yeah.
For Premier League games,
It's difficult to assess whether he's changed or what he's done, but at the time he was brilliant. He's probably one of the best managers. The training was brilliant.
Really?
Yeah, it was,
Best coaches
you didn't
as well,
realise until you left there. When you're an Arsenal player, you're protected.
Right.
It's the best place to be as a player. You look at half the players there that have played; they're so well protected. Anywhere else they'd be getting, people like your Wiltshires and your Ramseys and your Walcotts have been allowed time to progress. They've been allowed. You look at sort of United and places like that. If you don't cut it for 2 games, you're out.
Yeah.
But Arsenal's environment, which they protect players, which is, it's good for players. Whether that's breeds success, I suppose you've got to be probably gone far too
much
nice
to the way.
route,
So you think the ideal scenario is somewhere in between?
Yeah.
Didn't you buy a car off Henry as well? As a young player.
Yeah,
Tell us about
that.
and why did that come about?
It was Escalade, one of these American things, but it had 8 seats, so it could fit all my mates.
Yeah,
in.
they're not cheap.
Yeah. I loved it. But it had 8 seats. We could bop around, and it was funny because it's like a gangster rap car, isn't it? Really, or where it was back then.
Or an 18-year-old Arsenal footballer.
Yeah, there's me. Do you know what I mean?
Depends how you look at it.
It had a fridge in, so all my mates keep all the beers in the fridge. And then we used to have the TVs, in the back, all that sort of rubbish, yeah.
Wow.
That was funny. That was when you're young, you know what I mean? I thought it was a good idea. It was good fun,
Did he give you a good deal on that car?
We just didn't need a taxi, did we? We just used to get in that.
Mate, there's so many questions I got about the Arsenal team. Graham Stack. When I ever speak to when I speak to people about you, people just say asking about Graham Stack because was he of all the players you played with one of the biggest characters?
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was the Jimmy Bullard character.
Right.
You know? It was littered with people like that, and it was so enjoyable going in every day. I tell you what, he just would go in, and I remember Tony Adams coming in saying, "I get paid to do this," and it's a joke, and that's what it was. You're in an environment that you just loved being part of that environment. I think it's gone the other way now, where it's a job.
Yeah,
it's like having a real job.
Yeah,
in a sense, even though it is a job, but it's something. It's a talent. It's an art form. That you express yourself, and expressing yourself it means you enjoy something. You express yourself better.
And that's one of the reasons which we'll come on to later. You retired. People were shocked when you retired. You were 29, weren't you, when you retired?
I was 28 when I played my last game. Yeah.
And it wasn't an injury. It was you just fell out of love with the game, and that's part of the reason behind it.
Yeah. Well, my left knee was. I did spend a year out with my left knee. I got a condyle defect, which made it weaker. But no,
Right.
it didn't put. I could have carried on playing though. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We'll come on to that later. I've got to talk to you about pranks. Or
Yeah.
you had Stacky there. You said Tony Adams, Ray Parler was there, and I mean, were there just pranks every day, constant?
Yeah, it was just closed.
Is there any that you can tell us that?
I don't know whether it's all right to say it.
Any clean? I mean, what sort of stuff? I imagine because you were quite an extravagant player. You had,
Yeah.
a good-looking boy with your hair. You had you liked to wear new jeans. And did you get as a
They were cut
17-year-old?
up every day.
Did you not get hammered coming into that?
Yeah, cut up every day. Car was nicked. Didn't know where it was.
Your car was nicked.
Used to park it in Sainsbury's, like, and then the other guy would pick him up, and then
Who nicked your car?
I don't know who it was. It used to happen all the time. It used to happen. That was.
See, outside of football, if you get your car nicked, that's a big deal. That's
You just
I'm going
park
home
it
from
down the
work,
road
I'm
and you
calling
don't know
the
where it
police.
is.
Whereas at Arsenal, that's the norm.
Yeah, you
It's
used to
almost
do
unusual if you don't get your car nicked. is what
Yeah,
you're
I used to
saying.
do it all the time. I did it at Blackburn quite a lot. I used to park it in the housing estate behind the training ground. Used to just nick people's cars. Yeah, used to thought it was a good idea. Yeah.
So clothes, cars.
Yeah.
Any others? that you
Cars
can-
were just
you can
cut.
tell us?
I had remember when diesel jeans come out.
Yeah.
And I thought that I was all cool and
Yeah.
getting diesel jeans, and I wore a pair of diesel jeans on Monday. I think Bellamy cut them up, so I went to put them on, no legs on them. So then I wore my next pair of jeans the next day, cut up. Every day of the week they were cut. My
Wow.
clothes were that's just the way it was. Suitcases were nicked. You're like, where's my suitcase?
Unbelievable.
It just used to be carnage.
Really?
But it was good. You loved
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean? No, it was like a family.
Do you think that was why that Arsenal team was so successful? Because you were all mates at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think so. I think on the upper level, I think it's their friendship, their strength, and their unity. You know what I mean? And they could adapt to any situation. They weren't just one-dimensional sort of way of playing. They could adapt.
Incredible.
They were
team.
just animals.
Is that also hard for you? You're a youth team player, your first pro club, and you're looking at the players in front of you. You're thinking, "Cool, when am I going to get a break?" In
Well,
this team?
pretty much. I mean, I've flirted around the first team, travelled all the time, played a couple of games, made like a little bit of a you make a name for yourself and you start being ambitious. I signed a 5-year deal and then I was just forcing myself trying to get into the first team, but it was the invincible squad, wasn't it? It was like never lost a game. So I forced through going to Blackburn. So I was in knocking on Wenger's door like once a week.
Were you?
Saying, I want to play. So I went on loan to Norwich, come back, and then when I went on loan and had a taste of that was it.
How was your loan spell at Norwich? Did you enjoy that?
Yeah, it was good. It was. So I mean, I went into that dressing room and you had Craig Fleming, Gary Holt, Malky Mackay was the club captain. Darren Huckleby. You got them. There was Phil Mulryan, right? Have you heard about him?
Is this the bloke that's...
He's in the Vatican now. Mate, you'd have never known it when he turned up in his red Ferrari talking...
Pete, I told you. I said to you
It's
yesterday,
unbelievable.
one of David Bentley's ex-teammates is in the Vatican.
He's in the Vatican.
On holiday?
Yeah, he could be Pope one day. I can't believe it.
He can't be Pope one day.
He might be. He's on his way up.
What's his name?
Phil Mulryan. He started off at Man United. Mate, he was just like Jimmy Bullard, Graham Stack. You talk about them.
No way.
He's up there.
No way.
Now he's in the Vatican, like training up to be Archbishop of
Cutting up the Pope's clothes.
cutting up. Yeah.
Nicking the Pope-mobile.
Nicking the Pope-mobile. He just had a change of lifestyle, did he? Because he can't be doing those sort of pranks in the Vatican.
No, of course. I think he's probably. I don't know. Actually, when I heard it, I haven't spoke to him, but he was fun. He had a red Ferrari, and he used to take. He used to get in. We'll go and like have a race around like Norwich.
What is Pete? You might know this. What is the process of the Pope?
Why do you think I might?
Because you're a more educated man. You like
I've
all
no
that.
idea.
Well,
I've
he
seen
could
you
become
become
Pope, can't he?
a
If he
priest
trained-
and then an
he tra-
archbishop. And
There you
then
go. I
trains
told you he'd know.
He could. He's en route to be Pope. If he's
Still
Pope,
alive.
he could sort things out, couldn't he?
Wow. Yeah.
Do you think if we get him on the podcast, we're going to have to go out to the Vatican?
Yeah, I think.
and
that's
Love
do
that.
it?
Do
Record
you
it
still
in
speak to him?
Shall I make a call?
Mate, call him right now. Call him right now. See what happens.
Yeah.
Do you still speak to him?
No, but I could. Yeah. By then, I'll have a look after this.
Imagine
Let's try and get him on.
Ex-Norwich City player driving around a red Ferrari could be the next Pope.
It's
And David
unbelievable.
Bentley can sort me flooring out.
I've never seen anything like it. He was a boy, and now he's anything's possible, kids. Can be
Yeah.
Pope one day.
Good Good little message for kids, that one, isn't it? For young people wanting to aspire to something, anything's possible.
Premier League footballer, and then I fancy being a Pope.
Yeah, it's like George Weah is now the president, isn't he, of Liberia?
Yeah.
First African player to win the World Player of the Year.
Oh, right, okay.
Now the president, so anything is possible. Blackburn, you had a big affinity with Blackburn, didn't you? You loved your time there.
Yeah, I did. It was the environment was a family football club. I mean, everyone in it together. It was it was a great time, great period.
What was Mark Hughes like? It's obviously just he was good. He
just lets you get on with it. He allows you to. Well, he did for us. I think he managed the players that we had. I mean, you look through that list: Dominic Matteo, David Thompson, Craig Bellamy, Robbie Savage. Robbie Savage. You know that. You know, you got an endless amount of like characters, strong, you know, opinions, and they created such a great environment, and that team was so successful because of that.
Yeah. Didn't he bail you out of trouble, Hughesy? Just a coach or a minibus or something?
Well, that's all a bit relevant at the minute, isn't it? Because them guys. No, we were on a golf course in Florida, and we'd stayed in. They had the main hotel hub, and then a coach used to come and get you from the apartment blocks.
Yeah, a little place, take you from one part of the hotel to
another.
A really shuttle. Convenient for the hotel
shuttle bus.
People.
And they all got on, and the bloke, when it was his biggest mistake, wasn't it? He'd gone back in to get something, and I just thought, right, this coach is mine, and then I just drove it back, and he went mental, Like,
so what happened? You drove this coach. Who was in the bus?
It was just all the players. Santa Cruz,
all
Benny Crosby.
So David Bentley just driving this bus.
You had a mic, didn't you? You had like a mic as well. I was going, come on, boys.
Talk us through it.
Right, boys, where do you want to go? Come on. It was brilliant. I remember turning up, and we got there, and he's like, he's obviously come with someone else, raced up, you're in a whole lot of trouble, that's it. And I was going, all right, mate, all right, calm down. And that was it. It was just...
So how did you... So he genuinely called the police?
Yeah, he diffused
and he said, look, I'm the manager, he's a bit of a wild child, this guy.
But he was all right, the gaffer, because it was... he let us have a bit of a night out, and then the last... It was funny, this story. He goes... So we'd been there for about 8 days, and last day he says, right, it's because it was I think it was a Saturday before the following Saturday.
Right.
So he says, you're not allowed out tonight.
Yeah.
Got to take a serious sort of, like, you ain't going out. All right, gaffer. And there was this sort of party on that we were all already booked in for. Literally it weren't like just 2 of us. It was
the whole squad.
Every single player.
Yeah.
So we've gone, all right, we're not out. So we've official meeting. So we've gone upstairs and everyone snuck out. So we've turned up at this place. Who's turned up?
Mark Hughes.
Yeah, Mark Hughes had booked a table with all his...
The whole squad there, pretty much.
The whole squad, and he went... See, with that because what he'd done is he wanted to go with his team. And then, because it was like the only place to go. It was funny that. But we just had a laugh about it. We ended up coming back and beating Bolton 4-1.
So it worked out well.
Yeah, it did. But I remember because... because I was the younger lad, I was like, don't look at me, don't look at me. So let the older lads deal with it. But I'll nip to the toilet.
Right.
So I'm having a leak, and then who's come next to me while we're in there? Yeah.
Sparky.
He says, all right, David. I went, Gaffer, sorry about this. And he went, don't worry about it, have a good time. And that was it. That's how it was.
Really?
Yeah.
So man management, you had a lot of respect for him.
Yeah, it was, because I think you can't. It's like a little family.
Yeah.
When you're like that, you look after. You'd be a fool if you think that you're going to manage a football club without somebody disobeying you.
Yeah.
And if you take that point of view to rule with an iron stick, you're just going to get people rebelling. You've got to take the rough with the smooth, and you've got to. It's like your kids, isn't it? I've got 4 of them now, and your kids are not always going to like do as you tell them to do. They can do the opposite, isn't
they? They nick a minibus,
They nick a minibus. You go, look, I don't think you should nick a minibus. I said it was quite funny.
How would Arsene Wenger have reacted in that situation that Hughesy was in?
Well, I think if it's I don't know. He doesn't condone that sort of conduct. Yeah, no one does.
No, yeah.
But sometimes it just happens because it's funny. But it's how you react to it, isn't it? I suppose as a manager, you can go in all steam and lose the dressing room. If it's every player, players were loving it. They think it's funny.
Tough one, isn't it? If it's every player.
Yeah.
Every player, you can't. If it's 1 or 2, you can take a stance.
Yeah,
you
22
can make a
players.
bit of a 22 players. Sorry, get that.
It's a bit like we had Sean Goater on. He said he got caught in a fast food outlet with Keegan, but he was with all the senior players.
No, he's with the new signings, so he's
That's
with Robbie
right.
Fowler and Sean Wright-Phillips and someone else, I can't remember who else. And so Keegan was just fine with it because it was the new signings. He didn't want to upset him, so he got away with it.
Oh, right,
and if you're with new signings or senior players, it's who you stick with. You can
as long as
be
you
clever
take,
with it.
like as long as you're grafting and you're doing it, that's all the manager asks from you. That's what Mark. He just wants you to graft. He wants you to run for the team, and he wants you to express yourself. He's a great manager.
When I think of David Bentley at Blackburn, I think of that hat trick at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
That was your first game full when
I'd
you signed permanently.
Yeah, I'd signed.
Talk
I'm pushing through the deal.
Setting the benchmark quite high.
Yeah, because I wanted to sign. I wanted to feel. When you're on loan, it's very difficult to be, to settle in.
Is it?
Because you always know you sort of might go back. Forced through the deal, and day after played Man United and scored that trick.
The next day.
Yeah.
There's not many players. We were thinking about this the other day, weren't we, that have scored a hat trick at Old Trafford as an opposing team.
No.
That's pretty.
I think I was third. I don't know.
First player, because
I think
4-3, wasn't it?
Yeah, 4-3. I think someone else has done it again.
Is that your missus again?
No, it's my mate. It's my mate from Belgium. Yeah.
I can't explain how busy this man is. He's got businesses everywhere. Is that a new business you're setting up?
No.
What is your next business? Have you got your eye on something else?
Off the top of my head, potholes.
Potholes.
Private.
Can you elaborate on
Private
that?
finance potholes. Yeah, I'm going to replace all the potholes in the UK. What do you reckon, Greggy boy? Greg don't know at the minute, but that's where we're going, Greg.
Greg looks very stressed whenever David says anything. Yeah. It's like David has the idea and Greg has to make it happen. Is that how this relationship works, Greg?
Yeah, more or less.
Everybody's the route to market, unfashionable business. Everybody wants to be fashionable.
If you've got an idea for David Bentley's next business venture, tweet us or let us know and we'll retweet the best ones.
We could do a sort of Dragons Den, couldn't we?
You could do, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you ever been on Dragons Den?
No, but
because you strike me as the kind of guy that would come up with a decent idea that they take to market.
If people have got any ideas out there, sort of chuck them out and maybe I'll support it. Some people don't have the finances to back their great ideas. Sometimes that's all it takes, doesn't it? People have great ideas but can't get the finance for it.
So if you've got a great idea but don't have the finance, this is where it comes in.
We've got one podcast. We need a sponsor for the podcast.
Oh.
Do you know what? We need a sponsor for the podcast.
Okay.
So one of your, many
how much do you
companies, you sponsor it.
How much do you need?
80 grand?
80 grand? Hey? What's that?
I was going to
What's
go
that?
with
20 for the podcast and 60 in your back pocket.
I was going to go 100 myself, but beats the money,
Well,
man.
as you can see, it's a really expensive professional setup.
Yeah.
There you go.
And we've only actually got 2 soccer and mic cubes. David's just got a plain black mic cube. So that's 500 quid straight away. We'll take cash in hand, mate, or invoice, whatever's more convenient for you. Where are we at? Blackburn.
Blackburn. When you joined on loan, was all the Venky's stuff sort of kicking off around then as well? With Steve Keane had left just before you joined.
It was terrible. I joined when the manager, he's number 2 at Leicester now.
Michael Appleton.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Michael Appleton.
So he was there. So I'd gone back. It was the final. I already had a feeling that I might call it a day,
right?
Because my contract was finishing at Tottenham. I'd been to Russia, and then I sort of, my agent Rob, we sat down and he went, "What do you want to do?" I says, "Yeah, let's go back. Blackburn. I did love it there. Let's see what go and play, see what happened." Turned up and the club was just it was the worst.
Really,
it was all over the place. It weren't the club that I left. It was manager had to fly to India for the meeting, so he'd be away for like three days. It was weird, the whole club was just negative, where it was always positive.
Yeah.
So the environment was just flawed. And then Michael Appleton, I joined, and he got sacked after 3 weeks, and someone else. It was just all over the place. Players, you get internal fighting.
You've had all these loan spells. You've finally gone back to the club that you absolutely love, and it's the complete opposite.
Yeah, it was just the epitome of what football is about now, and the way it was. I knew it had gone that way, and to be a part of it, you just think, nah.
Because there 3 or 4 managers in the season, isn't there?
Yeah, but this is the way they've all gone. You look at the bottom 10 clubs now. I think probably 8 of them all changed their manager. They're all on short-term contracts. The top of the table. If Mourinho's in trouble, Conte's in trouble.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
The players are internally fighting. The fans are unhappy. Football's got to be careful that it doesn't self-implode. Which there are examples of, like the NFL. Italian football self-imploding. It can happen. People always think it can't, but they're running at each football club's running in debt. They can't carry on the way they're going. They're not reinvesting enough into the youth football. They're not investing enough into people's personalities. They're not investing enough into the communities, everything. So, they do these half-hearted efforts. But if you accumulated the money that they generate, they could, that money can change the world. It can certainly change England for a start. They're not investing enough, and what happens is enough money going out of the game. Is what happens when it happens. When you spend more than what you take in, at some point, it self-implodes. As soon as you get a few people that lose interest, some things will become unfashionable. And football can go that way. When you can make things unfashionable. That's the worry of mine with football.
Was that a reason why you chose not to go into management or coaching or anything like that? Because most footballers, they retire punditry or coaching, management. You've completely gone into something different.
I would have done if I was playing in the 60s, 70s and 80s. I would have definitely gone into coaching and been still a part of football. But I think football's changed. I think you've got to be on guard. You've got to live. See, I like living and communicating, and all the businesses I do and all the relationships that I've built is that connecting with people and relationship building. That's what football used to be like. Now it's a closed guarded. You sell a perception of yourself and an idea, not the reality of who you are, because you've got to be guarded. Judgmental, it's a judgmental society, isn't it, that we live in? Social media and so on and everything. It is anything you do, like the characters and personalities are there still now, but you won't see any of it anymore because they're too afraid to.
Do you think people are worried now on social media because? You mentioned it earlier, some people do get offended by a great deal more, shall we say, than what people used to back then. That now footballers with big personalities are afraid to...
They definitely won't come out.
Interact with fans because they don't know what's accepted, what isn't.
But you don't know what's going to come out, what's going to be perceived in a certain way, what joke is going to be... You've got to be very careful that you don't... which is tough. I think it's a tough environment now to be a player. You've got to be guarded, you've got to be sheltered, and you have got to stay within your house. And the fear for me is players are the ones I love and the one that I care about, because that's who I was, and they need to be looked after, protected, and admired, not shot down at every point. That's the same with our national team. We won't win nothing because of that mentality that's bred from.
You think that's such an important reason that it'll affect how successfully?
Yeah, they won't express themselves. See, the flaw in people's perception of football is they think that it happens just because you can run fast, just because you can do, you're physically capable. Football's not that. Football's an expression. It's a feeling that you get. People playing if you play with your head, it doesn't come across. If you play with your heart because you're enjoying it, you love what you're doing, you see an expressive player. Now, you look at the foreign players. Are they genetically made better? Is there some extra muscles within their body that we haven't got? No. Is Ross Barkley, John Joe Shelvey, Wiltshire, Rashford? Is Rashford made differently to Neymar? Is there something different? Well, what happens? It's just the mentality that's bred within our game, which has to be, I'd love to see taken out. I'd love to see them expressing themselves, It's okay for Aubameyang to have his silver-plated car. You see an English player with that, he'll be crucified. He's expressing himself in every which way he wants because that's the way he feels, and he's allowed to do that. So what happens when it comes to Neymar, fashion, this, that, the other? English player does it, he's criticised. Dele Alli, you look at him, Ross Barkley. All our players are just knocked. I don't know what it is. I don't know why it's done that way. I don't know whether it's the English way or what it is.
Do you think it's a little bit, maybe some form of envy or jealousy from the public and the media? So
I think it is. It's just that judgmental nature, isn't it? That you can judge somebody for their success. And they've got to accept that these players, sometimes I say something that they're not as rich as what you might think they are.
Really?
No. Yeah. They've got to be well managed, looked after. They've only got a certain period where they can earn their money. You look at somebody with an earning capacity out the city, or who's on 2 million a year, and there's plenty of them. They have 40 years to earn that, so that's 80 million they've got potentially to earn. Somebody has a 10-year career, they've only got 20. Does that make sense?
Does make sense, yeah.
So if
you've got a very
Smith is
business.
trying to do the maths.
Yeah, I'm trying to work it out in my head. That's why I'm not in the city. Business mindset.
Well, if you have a chat, there's something I'm working on for the players, because they are mismanaged, and there's if you look at an average wage, 36,000 a year, 36,000 a week for a Premier League footballer, it works out to be about 2 million a year, like 1.8.
Which is still good for our
which is
listeners.
good. No, I'm not degrading. I come from nothing. My dad's still a caretaker. My mum,
Understood.
so on. Yeah. I understand the value of money, but a player, for instance, will have an earning capacity 10 years to earn that sort of money. So if he's on that, he's got potentially to earn 18 million. He gets taxed half of that, so he shoots down to 9. So he's got 9 million. That's if he ain't spent nothing. That's if he ain't lived the rock and roll lifestyle and bought big houses, nice cars, private jets and so on, which 9 million doesn't buy you, right? If you expand that over a lifespan, because he's got no skill set, he's got nothing else to fall back on. What else does he do? What other career has he got after that? 30, he's finished. You say to him, when do you want to live to? He says 85. Okay, I want to live until I'm 85. He says, right, you got 9 million. Right, get an elastic band and pull that money until you're 85. You're left with $3,500 a week, £500 a day.
It's amazing how you've done all this maths. This is obviously something that a lot of players...
This is passionate of mine, because I've seen too many players go,
Is this why a lot of players do go back? Because I read an incredible stat. I think it was something like 40% of players who played in the 90s go on to experience bankruptcy or...
Yeah, bankruptcy is
incredible high number.
It's an epidemic in the game, because the reflection of the public is immediately to attack their finances. But when you look at the finances of the world and the people who have got real money, it costs £2 million a year a year of Premier League footballers' wage to keep one of them yachts in Monaco. That's how much it costs to just maintain it, So it's... I know I'm speaking... Normal public will go and look after your money, but what you've got to think is that's the only skill set they've got. From 10 years old, they did everything they could to be a professional footballer. They've got 10 years to earn their money. Some, if they're lucky, can go to their 35. That is the passion for me, is that the players, I've seen players fall by the wayside, and really people take advantage of them. And you see that I don't like the perception that the public have sometimes, that they always revert back to how much money they got, and they some of the top players, they've your Ronaldos are a different level. The commercial sort of what they can bring worldwide commercial is mental, but the main core of players, and that's that. Of how much they got to survive on until they're 85. If they look after that's if they don't spend nothing. They're your figures. You go down to the Championship or the League One, it gets even worse.
It is interesting, isn't it? Because where I can relate to that is that footballers do get a bad perception with regards to money they earn. Because if you look at a film star, musician, no one ever talks about... Tom Cruise will do a movie, he might get 40 million for a movie, but no one will say anything about that. No. Whereas footballers, do you think it's because their wages are released per week that people just can't relate to it?
What other industry works like that?
No one says, Ed Sheeran's earned X amount this year, because if you're an Ed Sheeran fan, you don't really care. But with footballers, even in your own team, there is that perception that they're on too much money.
Yeah, that's the perception is. But when you do them figures, when you look at it in detail.
Yeah,
and every player should look at it in detail, and there should be something done, and they're getting misrepresented. I was represented by Rob Siegel from. I'm part of the company now, and it's something he was passionate about. He looked after me. I was with him from 15, so it's 18 years now we've been together as a team, and a lot of people haven't got people like that around them.
Yeah,
they've got people that feed off them and spend that money that they've got because they think it's going to last forever, but it doesn't.
So if you're a current player now, say if you're a current player in the Championship or League One who isn't earning quite what Premier League players are and have got that real worry when they get to 35, how would you help that player? Because this is part of what you do.
Immediately on day one they'll go and they'll want the £3 million house. They ain't got 3 million.
Yeah,
they ain't got it. So what they do, they go to the bank. So what they do is they cut into their earnings by paying about $750,000 in interest over 9 years for that one house they wanted. So that cuts through to what actually they've got. They spend on big cars, finance deals. They're just giving away their money everywhere, which, it's very difficult because everybody wants it today. And as soon as you get to that point, you feel like you should give the perception that you've got everything. It's just, it really irritates me. Yeah.
You mentioned the Russia World Cup coming up. You had a loan spell at Russia.
Yeah.
What was that like?
That was a great
FC
experience.
Rostov, wasn't it?
Yeah. That was somewhere that, I was like on my own out there. No one really spoke English. I got an understanding of the way the foreign players must have felt coming to the country.
Ryan Mason said exactly the same thing. He went to Lorient in France.
Right,
said exactly the same thing.
Yeah, you get a better understanding of the way they, because sometimes you think, I'll just get on with it.
Yeah.
But no, you can see, it was a great experience. It was completely. I was the first English player ever to play there. I think I'm the only one that's ever played there. But it was great. It was a great experience.
What was the standard like? Where would you compare it?
It wasn't nothing. It was probably championship kind of level. Right. Do you know?
Why do you think more English players haven't gone to Russia?
I don't know.
As you said, you're the first person ever.
I think McGeady, he went there. But he was obviously Irish. He had a successful time there, I think. But first English player. I just think because we got it too good here. I think. I don't know why.
I guess it doesn't really have the same attractions like Spain or Italy or somewhere.
Yeah, cold, isn't it?
No, it weren't where
was
I
it
was.
Not? Was it
that was my. It's funny you should say that. I was down just north of, I think it was Azerbaijan in Rostov. So they're down in the deep south. So they have Mediterranean weather.
Country, of course.
Yeah, and that's the thing about Russia. It's such a diverse country.
Yeah.
All they have states, for instance, like America do. All different religions, races.
And can England win the World Cup, Bence?
I'd love them to do it, but I don't. No.
Exactly.
See, I grew up. My first fell in love with football when at Gaza.
Yeah, same as me.
90.
It was weird, same
It was
age,
just like, and I see that.
Same as me.
And that was the epitome, and you see them all, like all together. I know they were getting drunk or whatever they were doing, but it was you just loved it.
Yeah.
As a bloke.
And do you remember when England played back then? It was like you stopped what you're doing. Watching Gaza and Shearer play for England was like.
So it was 90.
Incredible.
What was it? 90 and 96 Euros.
Yeah.
That was it. That was where I fell in love with football, and it was because of Gaza. It was just all them characters. I'd love for him to do it, but I just don't think the foundations are there for him to express themselves. Same thing will happen as what they did when they played Iceland. When you go out onto a football pitch, the basics. You get into the mindset, just do the basics. But what they do is they do the basics for 90 minutes because they're just too afraid to hold the ball and express themselves.
Does that come back to your point about the media expectation, the pressure, everything?
Yeah, you give the ball away.
Players are scared to express themselves.
You feel like you get caught in possession of the ball, or you try and play a through ball and just keep giving it away. Neymar will try and play a through ball 10 times, or Messi will try and play a through ball. Iniesta try and play a through ball, and it get cut out 9 times. But the 10th time it go through. If an English player does it, 9 times you get brought off.
Did you find that when you were playing for England, that you couldn't express yourself as you could when you were at Spurs or Arsenal? You were afraid of making a mistake?
I didn't play enough to do that. But you can see the restrictions. What they'll do is you'll find that England will play side to side.
Yeah.
It's an easy thing for a player. What you do is when you're out there, you just think, I'll just pass it side to side. And I won't give the ball away, but you won't do nothing. But no one will, it'll be fine. Like I won't get picked on because you're worried about what's going to happen. That's the problem. What we do is we put our players in that position to play like that, and then when they play like that, we go, "Oh God, why don't you express yourself?" And you go, "Yeah, but you're not set. They're not set up to express themselves. They're set up to fail," which is, is sad. Yeah, I think it all arcs back to that perception we have within society about footballers.
Yeah,
like more of a sort of love to hate them. Rather than sort of love to love it, yeah.
And did you find that when you were playing for England, when you put that shirt on, was there like an expectation, or it was a different level to what you'd experienced playing in the Premier League?
No, not me, no. But I didn't play enough.
Right.
But when I played, I did well for England. I loved it all the way through sort of the youth levels, under 21s, and playing for the national team. I did well, but yeah.
Let's talk about Spurs a bit. When you signed, did you get any stick from any Spurs fans or because obviously you're an Arsenal player? There's very few players that have played for both Arsenal and Tottenham in the Premier League. A lot of your mates are Spurs as well, aren't they, I believe?
Yeah, they're all Tottenham fans. They're all season ticket holder. Dan's a season ticket holder, isn't he?
Dan's a season ticket holder.
He's loving it, waving his flag.
Waving his flag.
Wow.
That is very true, yeah.
Wow.
I did see Dan once outside of Wembley waving his plastic Spurs flag. But let's not make this about Dan.
No.
So did you get any stick from anyone, or was that really quite an easy transition?
No, not really. The fans, I've never really... There was bits and bobs here and there, but nothing too bad. Used to get a few pelters and that, but not
What about Arsenal fans when you signed for Spurs?
Yeah, Arsenal fans, they only used to give it to me when we played them.
Right.
But like in the street, they're all alright.
Were they?
Yeah, there's a couple of instances, but not really, nothing. I've never walked around in fear, no. I've always walked around alright.
Don't walk around
Just locked in, yeah. Nah, bulletproof vest on, no.
what I love as well, that 4-4 game,
Yeah.
a lot of players don't celebrate if they score against their old club out of respect and all that, but obviously you're a Tottenham player.
Yeah.
You scored an unbelievable goal against Arsenal.
Yeah.
Best goal you've ever scored in your career?
Yeah, it probably was. It was the moment, because I went in, it was another situation, and Ramos got sacked. Didn't
Yeah, I remember
He was
it.
the manager that brought me in.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. Because so you don't know who's going to come in and whether the new manager likes you. Because if a manager buys you, he keeps with you, doesn't it? And all that. So I was a bit gutted. And then Harry come in, and then it was North London Derby fell the same sort of
Yeah, it was
week.
his first game, wasn't it?
Yeah.
First North London Derby, yeah.
So, yeah, you just want to have a response. And like Clive Allen before the game said, Almunia stays off his line.
Did
He's
he?
always
So
off
that's
his
good.
line. You got to chip him. So that's what was in my head when I did that.
But then you celebrated that was what was great. What endeared you to so many Spurs fans is because
it was brilliant.
crazy.
Yeah.
Didn't
No,
you?
because the Arsenal fans are giving it. You know, when
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
in the moment, that's I was going over to take the corners out. Mate, it was funny. They're all just like effing and blinding.
Yeah,
You know, but to score the goal, and a goal like that, you know at the time when you do it, you don't know how you did it. I didn't know I was that far out. I just went, oh, wallop, have that. And it went in, and you just go mental. And obviously, you know, all your family are there, all my mates are there. Because it was the first, and it just goes mental. But yeah, Dan Reserve's flag. But yeah, we all went back to it's a great day. You know, they're always moments. People always just remember moments.
Yeah.
And I had some, even though my career wasn't as consistent as others, I had some decent moments.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You mentioned Harry there as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, the other famous David Bentley, Harry Redknapp moment.
Yeah.
Spurs qualify for the Champions League.
Yeah.
A group of you poured a bucket of water over him, but you were the one dancing. You just had your pants on, didn't you?
Yeah, I just had my pants on.
Did you know that you didn't have shorts? What happened there?
Well, no, I don't know. Because that week leading up to the game, it was massive. And for Tottenham at the time to qualify for the Champions League was massive.
Yeah. Massive underdogs, weren't they? Because it was that Man City
Yeah.
team had a lot of money. It was.
Oh, it was mental. And to take on City.
Yeah.
And the whole build-up the week, you just getting brawled in the build-up was like a cup final week.
Yeah.
Even more than a cup final. And it's the value to the football club is so much, so the importance is there. And to be a part of that, and I was part of that season, and to do it, oh, it's brilliant. All the it weren't my idea.
So what happened?
I'm one of them, innit? It's like, you think, I'm just the yes man. Yeah, it's like Jim Carrey in that film, innit? Yeah, go on then, we'll do it. You've not seen The Yes Man?
Yeah, it's called
Jim
Yes Man.
Carrey.
I've not
It's called
seen
The
that
Yes
film,
Man.
no.
Oh, it's a funny film.
What,
that.
he just says yes to
That's
everything,
what
he gets
That's what we got, ain't we? That's what we're about.
you're the
Spend
guy
your life
that
being the yes man. Yeah, yeah. That seems like a good idea.
Everyone thinks that's David Bentley's idea, don't they?
Nah, and I'll just go, yeah, that'd be funny. And I don't know who it was. It was just all the lads. I think they tried getting the chairman, and he's like, where's the gaffer? And he's outside, and they just had the ice bucket. And I just went, yeah, come on then, let's go and do it. And
And it was during a live interview, wasn't it?
it was more for it. He'd done all right. It was more of in sort of because we liked him. But
Yeah.
I think he took offence to it
Did
a little
he?
bit. I think so, yeah. I don't know what you hear through, other people.
Yeah.
I just think he took offence to it. Like,
Did you know that you weren't wearing shorts at the time? Because you only had your pants on, didn't you?
No,
you
because I
didn't
was
know
halfway getting dressed. I was lucky I had my pants on. Could have been a whole different ball game, couldn't it? Literally. But yeah, no, they're great. I tell you what, when you're part of that, you're in the mix of that. It's what you. It's like that. It's like the night. When you're that moment, Gaza in the World Cup. That's one of them moments where you just.
It's still an iconic Premier League moment. That you
yeah.
dancing in your pants.
Yeah, it's
to the
funny,
gaffer.
isn't it?
Everyone remembers that.
But it's not out of disrespect
No.
for him. It's not out of taking the mick out of football. It's not. But you live in this society, judgmental nature, where we all think it's funny, but sometimes everyone's like, oh no, can't act like that.
Where are they from?
They just contradict themselves in people, don't they? Next breath, they're like, tied up in the bedroom, like with a mask on or something. Yeah.
You know Smithy quite well then.
Yeah, how did you have fun about that?
Yeah. Yeah.
We've got to talk about England quickly. Steve McLaren once
Yeah.
referred to you as the new David Beckham.
Yeah.
Do you feel that you fulfilled your potential?
But that wasn't me. I mean, I grew up as a centre forward. I only played on the right wing until I played first team football at Norwich. Well, I played a little. Wenger put me there in a couple of games that I played, but I was off the striker player. Never thought about being a winger. I always thought players who played on the wing, it was dead position.
Yeah.
But when I played, because my physique and so on, I wasn't allowed to be in the hole. It was 4-4-2 system then, so to be one of the 1 or 2. So they put me out on the wing. I remember first game, Norwich versus Crystal Palace. Didn't touch the ball. I come off the pitch and went, I can't play that position.
Really?
And I had a conversation with my dad and a few people. He says, "Oh, who plays in that position?" He went, "Oh, Beckham. You know, he does. All you got to do is cross it." And that's what I did. So I looked at Harry. I just ran up and down the wing and made sure I touched it and crossed it and got. That's what I did. I just adapted. So I didn't want to be that player. I just had to adapt.
Didn't you try and get in Beckham's head a bit and sort of be like, I'm coming for your spot?
Oh yeah, I used to do all that. Yeah, because he was part of. It was a great little experience actually, because I was brought into the squad and obviously all this public sort of. But I didn't want to be. I would not want to have his sort of life or lifestyle. I think
the brand Beckham and all that.
No, it was people obviously tried to.
Did they with you?
The commercial team that operates around you, they build you and build the idea of you, don't they? But I'd rather just do what I do.
So
I don't do social media. I don't do
you?
anything.
No.
I don't. I just prefer to live my life how I want to live it. So, but I used to, just wind him up. But he's all right, Bex. He's a nice bloke,
He took it in good stead.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
You're also the first English.
I used to tell him I was better looking.
Did you?
Yeah.
How did you react to that?
I'm better looking. Yeah. Look, come on, look, you've had it.
I can imagine in training, David Bentley was the kind of guy that everyone loved, but on the wrong day, you'd wind people up.
Yeah, because
in a nice way.
Like in training, for instance, Gaffer goes, right backs out there, who was the right back, whoever the right back was, get out there doing crossing session. I say, what are you sending them out there for? I'm better than him at crossing, stuff, like winding them up. It was only a joke. He was much better than me. He was. But it was, what I mean? It was just a bit of a joke.
First Englishman to score at the new Wembley Stadium Euro as well.
Yeah, it was, yeah. Well, that was the build-up, to play. We were the first sort of. It was an under-21 game.
Yeah, Italy, wasn't it?
It was classed as a competitive game.
Yeah.
First player to score. So I stepped over the free kick and thought, I've got to be the first. Because
did you think that as you're taking the free kick?
Yeah, of course I did. Yeah. And then when all the players that week wanted to be, you want to be the one who scores, didn't you? And I stepped over the free kick and thought, come stick it in. I did. Yeah, it was good. It was brilliant.
Good sign.
But they're the moments that live with you. That's what I'm talking about. So when you look back on reflection of your career, like my kids, whoever you talk to and you have a conversation, you can say them things. You can be proud of them. No one ever remembers the details of the in-betweens. They just remember the moments.
You were there for McLaren's umbrella gate as well, weren't you?
Yeah, I was there. I was on the bench
that night.
I was on the bench. Even at the time when he'd done it, because I don't know what it was. He didn't want to get wet, did he?
Thanks for clarifying that bit of the story.
No, but
I understand what umbrellas do, Dave.
No, but I think he didn't want to mess his hair up, did he? So, yeah.
You think that was just it?
I remember at the time, and going, what's he doing?
Really?
Whoever was next to me, I remember going, he's got an umbrella, he's going to get caned. He can't do that. Because stadium, it comes in and hits you on the bench, but you've got to take it, ain't you?
Yeah.
Like if your hair, like my hair would go mental, I'd have all white lines going down it because all the gel in it. But you just got to take it. But he sat there and you could feel it. We all knew at the time because you become aware of things like that. When you become aware of like what to do, like.
Did you know that?
Like imagine I was like that with gel on the bench doing my hair. Like you can't do it, can you? Like you wouldn't be able to do that.
You'd probably get away with that.
Well, I might do, yeah, but you get cake, or sort of putting your. I don't know what players do. They're putting their fake tan on the bench. You get criticised. You can't have an umbrella.
Did you know though when he put his umbrella up?
Yeah, we know straight away.
This is going to explode.
This don't look good.
Really?
Manager can't have an umbrella. You can't. Like, even though it's practical.
One of my mates has got a conspiracy theory that McLaren did it deliberately to take the flak, so the players wouldn't get blamed. But I think he's dreaming.
That's far too complex and intelligent, isn't it? It can't be.
How did you get on with Fabio Capello? Because as a fan, I kind of got the impression, reading stories after the fact, that you guys kind of treated him a little bit like a supply teacher, maybe, and kind of pushed it a little bit more with him.
He's got a villa actually near where in Marbella called Faberini.
Is he actually?
Yeah, it's called Faberini, isn't it? Who takes yourself seriously? You call your villa Faberini? No, we respected him, but it's the England environment, wasn't it? And he come in with his ideas and his strict mentality, but it's not the English way. We have the English ways. We have got a cheeky sense of humour. We do see the funny side of things. That's who we are as people. We don't have to be anyone else. Spend too much time trying to be someone else. I think that's what happened. He come in and had certain things that he did, and I don't think the players responded very well to it. I think he realised that in the end, but it was too late. We used to have a bit of a laugh with him. You know, we called him like funny names and that. But he couldn't speak English. So like I'd speak to him and go, all right, yeah. You know, just as a joke, but it was more to get all the lads like thinking it was funny. It was like a team, weren't to disrespect him, but it probably perceived like that. But it did
he
look
had that translated, didn't he? Was he that bald head guy?
Yeah, because he'd know what I was saying.
Oh, right.
So
did he ever translate
it? What's that? And then translate, and I go, yeah, all right, Postman Pat. You know, like he'd just think, and all the lads would be like, it's just creasing up. But no, it's bad when you go that route. You can't get respect of players of that magnitude. You know what I mean? Yeah. If you're carrying on like that, banning them from tomato sauce, and you can't eat your dinner until the captain sits down, and you can't turn up. You've got to be in bed by 10. All these sort of rules that you try and apply. But if you restrict people, anyone to that sort of, they're only going to go the other way. Yeah. People don't operate like that.
Talk about your retirement. We mentioned it earlier. 28, 29, you retired.
Yeah.
Which, again, surprised a lot of players. Simply just you fell out of love with the game. Do you have any regrets looking back on it?
I always have to correct that.
Not that you fell out of love with the game.
I love football. It's my passion. This is what I love doing. It's what I spent my whole life trying to be. But I just, the job part of it, I fell out of love with it. You know, the way it was, the day-to-day sort of...
so you fell out of love with what football had become?
Yeah, the day-to-day environment for what I have to live within, what my family have to live within, and... the fact of lack of control and freedom. It weren't the love of stepping over the line or kicking a ball back. No. Best thing ever.
So you never look back and think, we should have had another couple of years, or not at all?
I got out at the right time. I left when it was just right, instead of just... I didn't want to be that player in the dressing room that's just wilting away, picking up his dough, just going through the motions. Yeah. I just, did it fast and bopped out. Yeah.
It's credit to you, though, because you could have stayed on and earned more money.
Yeah, I was getting offers. You're getting offers around Europe, and my 8-year-old daughter, was just starting full-time school. I just had my twin babies, so I've got boy and a girl twins, and I don't know. I just felt like, do you know what? If I go and move to another country, or and just go for the money, it's going to be all unstable, unsettled. Family's going to be in turmoil. I'll be going through the motions because I won't really be wanting to do it. I'm just doing it for the money. So, decided to call it a day.
Do you think other players will do what you did, and you'll see that again, because it's very rare that a player does retire for those reasons? Do you think any other players, or have you spoken to any other players that said, I was thinking of doing the same?
Well, I think you've got to be careful that the players retain the love of the game. They retain the naivety and the love of it. Just playing. That's what it's all about. And don't get too wrapped up in all of what is going on nowadays. But will players do that? I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know whether it's an individual thing or I'm not sure. I don't know. I'd like to think that they find an environment that they love playing football and express themselves, and they don't have to do that.
If we popped you in a Soccer M time machine, so we might get you guys to fund as the Dragon's Den idea, maybe.
Dragon's Den.
We need another 10k for that, by the way.
I'll work on the website. We'll do it.
10k for a time machine is good value, actually.
Business card for £500.
Yeah. It might be possible.
Pop in the David Bentley time machine. Yeah. We have to rebrand it now because you're funding it.
Oh, there we go.
Go back to the day you're signing your first professional contract. Yeah. You can say one thing to young David Bentley. What would be the one thing you'd say to yourself?
One thing I'd say, I wouldn't say nothing. I'd do everything exactly the same as the way I did it.
No regrets at all?
No regrets. I did it all my own way and did it in the right manner, with my heart and not my head. And I think certain points, you've got to think with your head now. It's just the way it is, isn't it? It's the robotic nature of it. But I did it all my way, so I feel all right.
Bence, absolute pleasure to sit down with you. Thanks for welcoming us to your showroom.
Got a bit deep at times, didn't we?
It did get very deep.
You don't know, it's a perception of things, isn't it?
It's the wrong perception you have of David Bentley. You've got the laughs, you've got the intrigue, you've got everything in that. It's the full swing.
How to become a pope.
Yeah, pope. I can look after your finances and take you out for a drink and keep you well fed and supply floor for you.
Welcome to my playground.